The Young and the Restless recap for Friday, January 10, 2025. Claire sees Jordan. Ian visits Abby and Tessa. Kyle comes clean. I will explain everything. Never miss this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Today on The Young and the Restless, Danny and Daniel say goodbye. Tessa has conflicted feelings about Ian, and Jordan is on her own. Jack was happy to see Kyle working from home in the dining room. He expressed his happiness at returning to Jabba to his father. He had reflected about his departure and journey to Glissade. Kyle was aware that he had nearly blown up his life. Kyle was informed by Jack that he had changed his life. Jack grinned and said, "I think life is pretty good because I'm sitting at the table with my son and co-CEO." He offered to assist Kyle after asking what he was working on. Kyle gave his father a folder to look at. Jack stated, "This is a proposal to the sunscreen moisturizer that we believed Glissade had stolen from us." Kyle clarified, "You mean the product that I stole from you?" Jack thought Kyle wouldn't admit to taking the recipe. In taking it, Kyle apologized for violating Diane's privacy and abusing his trust. At the moment, Jack was sympathetic to Kyle's suffering and had forgiven him. They spoke about Victor's manipulation of him against his own family. Kyle wondered whether Jack had considered suing him. "Your dad didn't." "But I did," said Diane, walking into the dining room. Kyle was surprised that his mother thought about filing a lawsuit. Diane claimed that rather than harming him, it was a means of bringing him back. Kyle gave in and said, "I suppose I can't blame you for that." Diane went on to say that she and Jack disagreed about suing him, but they exploited the disagreement to support their act. Kyle yelled that they had told him the fighting was a hoax, but now they were acknowledging that it was real. Jack assured him that Diane was not to blame for anything and that he was ready to sue him. Diane stated that she believed it was a means of holding Kyle accountable for his deeds. "Kyle, you breached the law. You took Jabba's IP," she clarified. Kyle took a step back. Kyle explained to Diane that he had just told Jack what he had done and expressed regret to him. Kyle also apologized to Diane. She thanked him despite being astonished. Jack recommended that they move on from it. Kyle has taken action to return the product to its proper place. Jack continued. "It was in the process," Kyle agreed. According to Jack, everything might be resolved today. Diane and Kyle decided that they should work together to concentrate on Jabba's future. Diane informed Kyle that she had spent the night there and that she was aware of the progress made with Claire. Harrison was unaware of their relationship, according to Kyle. Diane proposed that Harrison ought to be aware of Claire's relationship with Harrison if she planned to stay there frequently. After talking about it, Kyle promised to speak with Harrison. Jack expressed his excitement for many more dinners and business gatherings at the table. Diane questioned Kyle about his plans to stay. Jack and Diane were thrilled when Kyle announced that he and Harrison would not be moving out. Diane questioned Jack about Claire after Kyle had departed. Although Diane believed Claire to be giving and caring, she hoped they could manage whatever difficulties Victor could provide. Jack declared that they would never again allow Victor to meddle in their affairs. According to Jack, Tracy had a great man in her life. Ashley was doing well, and they had their son back. "And I have you," Jack continued. "They had each other," Diane stated. While Nikki was giving Claire a to-do list at Chancellor Industries, which included removing the word Abbott from the firm name, she became aware that she had already given Claire the responsibilities. Nikki expressed regret for being agitated and thinking about Ian. She informed Claire that nobody had ever tormented her as much as that man, with the exception of her Aunt Jordan. As Nikki and Claire sat down, Nikki filled her granddaughter in on Ian's exploits of manipulating others into joining a cult. She advised Claire not to approach Ian if she ever came into contact with him. Nikki described to Claire how she followed Ian and met him. They believed that Ian and Claire used similar strategies. Nikki described how Ian came back a few times to harass, extort, and ruin them. He even set fire to the Newman Tower while they were all present, she said. According to Nikki, Victor would stop at nothing to remove Ian from their lives, just like he had done with Jordan. Claire was requested to bring Nikki a chai latte from Crimson Lights because she needed a pick-me-up before her meeting. Instead of having it delivered, Claire chose to walk over. Esther contacted Sharon at Crimson Lights and left a message. Everyone was concerned, she added, and they wanted her to call to reassure them. Jordan approached the counter and overheard while disguised. "Is everything all right?" Jordan inquired. Jordan inquired if there was anything she could do to help after Esther expressed uncertainty. Esther summed up by saying that everyone was concerned about the welfare of someone she knew who was going through some difficult times. "Is there anyone who truly knows what happened to her?" Jordan inquired. "I was just trying to stay positive," Esther remarked. Jordan requested a triple shot American, a double half and half, and an oolong tea with agave sugar. She promised to wait on the patio with Esther. Jordan groaned as she flipped through Claire and Kyle's pictures on her phone while sitting outside. Claire entered Crimson Lights behind Jordan and overheard her conversing with Esther. As Jordan became aware that Claire and Nikki were near and cooperating, her expression grew more agitated. Esther took Jordan's drinks out to the terrace and promised Claire that she would be right back to take her order. Claire turned to see as she heard Esther give Jordan's order. Jordan was gone by the time she reached the patio. Abby offered Daniel and Danny a table at Society and advised them to share their meal on social media in order to draw in additional business. "She should," Danny remarked, laughing. Daniel informed his father that he wanted he could stay in town longer after Abby left. Daniel acknowledged that Sharon had been acting so strangely that he wasn't going to draw any conclusions, but he stated he wasn't sure what to make of her disappearance. He said that Chance was stepping up his and Lucy's protection. Danny claimed that if he and Lucy went on a tour with Danny and Christine, he would feel so much better. Daniel wanted Lucy to stick to her routine now that she was back at school. In addition, he wished to track out and prosecute the actual murderer. Daniel stated that he wanted to attempt to get used to their new normal without Heather, and that he thought about her every day. Daniel informed Danny that he was proud of him and that he was an amazing father. Danny went to meet Cricket. At the bar, Tessa told Abby that the police had found Sharon's car, but they were trying to be hopeful that she was okay. She noted that Maria and Faith were wrecked over it. Tessa said she hadn't had another asthma attack since New Year's, and she'd never felt anything like that before. She wondered if it was stress-related. Tessa didn't think that it made any sense that the one man Maria hated in the world happened to be the one to save her. Abby agreed it was too convenient. "With Ian Ward, you can't trust anything," Abby told Tessa. Outside the window, Ian watched them intently. Ian snuck in and listened as Abby told Tessa what a snake he was. Aside from stealing Maria from Sharon, his list of crimes was endless, Abby told her. She added that Ian abused Nikki, and he went after Summer as well. Abby told Tessa that she could believe anything Ian said, and he never did anything out of the goodness of his heart. "What happened to you doesn't make sense," Abby concluded. How Anne claimed to return to town to make peace with Maria, and then simply happened to be in the right location at the right time to save her wife's life was a mystery to Abby. "I understand what you're saying, but how could he have known that I would experience that and shown up just when I needed him?" Tessa inquired. "I'm not sure, but I wouldn't rule anything out for him," Abby informed her. Tessa was unable to deny that Ian had saved her life. With a smile, Ian approached and said, "I'm just so glad I was able to save you." Tessa was told by Ian that he had prayed for her. Despite being thankful that he had saved her, Tessa began to question his motives after learning who he really was. Ian regretted Tessa's betrayal of him by Maria. Despite acknowledging that he was aware of Tessa's identity, Ian meant what he said about her and Maria being blessed. Maria had requested him to avoid her. Tessa informed him, and she felt compelled to do the same. After everything he had done to her family, Abby was adamant that it was her restaurant and that she wanted him to go and never return. Ian whined that he should be used to having doors slammed in his face in Geno City. What else would you expect? Abby snapped. Ian repeated how he wanted to win back the trust and forgiveness he sought for those he'd done wrong. He insisted he wanted to start a new life. Ian said he would leave but stopped to ask if Tessa had heard anything from Sharon. I'm afraid not, she shared. After Ian told them he wanted God to bless them both and keep them safe, he walked out smugly with a smirk on his face. Inside, Abby breathed a sigh of relief he was gone while Tessa looked strained. I just don't know what to make of that man, she said. Well, for your sake and Maria's, you can't let him get under your skin, Abby said firmly. Daniel came over to the bar and noted to Tessa that the new year seemed to be off to a weird start, and she agreed. She asked how he was holding up. Daniel said that he felt a little sorry for himself, because everyone he loved seemed to leave him. Daniel said he'd heard about Tessa's asthma attack and thought it was weird it happened out of nowhere. Tessa thought there was more to it. As Claire returned to Chancellor, Kyle called her and said he wanted to tell Harrison about their relationship and how much they liked one another. I want your input on how to bring it up to him. Do you want to meet at society after work? Kyle asked. Claire happily agreed to text him when she was done working. Claire gave Nikki her latte, but she could tell she seemed upset. Claire admitted that there was a woman who had ordered her tea in a very specific way, and that was how Jordan always took her tea. Nikki thought that must have been unnerving. Claire tried to brush it off and chalked it up to talking about Ian having her on edge. Nikki assured her that Victor would keep Ian away and promised that Claire would never have to face Jordan again. When Jordan got back to the motel room, he started talking about how Claire might have recognized her and believed they should relocate after seeing her. But Ian wasn't present. She decided it was time to start working on her end of the bargain because she believed he had abandoned her. Jordan began to cry as she recollected how she had lost control of Claire and how she had told her that she had made a mistake. Claire, oh my God! I've missed you so much, Jordan cried to herself. She stood up and stared out the window furiously. Ian, are you still not back? Jordan murmured. Well, perhaps I can't rely on you to help me anymore. Perhaps it's time I deal with. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this.